But the United stand. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has received a huge boost that David De Gea is very close to signing a Manchester United contract. This was reported by The Guardian today, but it flies in the wind of the stuff that we spoke about last night. And I did say it to you last night. It was coming from The Sun. There was no credible source behind it that David De Gea was going to snub a contract with Manchester United. And my understanding and feeling has always been, and information was that De Gea was very close to signing a new contract with Manchester United, which is a huge, huge boost. And it makes those plonkers who have been critical of De Gea over the last 24 hours saying, let's drop him for Romero, let's give him a taste of his own medicine. He's not even that good. He's Spain's number 2. Stick him in the reserves and rot. I mean, wash your mouth out with soap and water and then, go and sit in the corner and think about the big, big dickheads you are. Because David De Gea has been the best servant we've had at Manchester United since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. He's been absolutely superb. And for Manchester United to whether he goes or not, if he went, I understand it. If he stays, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I think he will stay. So massively, massively good news for Manchester United. Of course, we're still in that halfway house where he hasn't officially signed yet, but it does validate what I'd been saying, that Manchester United are in a position where David De Gea, I think, will sign the contract. Dan James has scored for Wales. It is a friendly against, I don't know who they're playing. It's an irrelevant game, but well done to Dan James. It's not irrelevant when you're scoring goals and boosting your confidence, and hopefully he can take that into the next few games. But there's one thing I want to bring in here. We are going to be doing a call-in, so get thinking about the stuff you want to talk about tonight. I've got a few topical things to go through, and then we'll get onto the call-in. So smash a like on the video, everybody, if you haven't already. But this absolutely amazed me. This will amaze you as well. I think it was Dean Jones. I think he's Bleacher Report on Twitter. And he put a tweet out, and he basically was a poll. Who would you like to be Manchester United manager from now to the end of the season? And the choices were Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, and David Moyes. Now, Van Gaal and Moyes, forget it, you know where. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got about 35% of the vote, and Jose Mourinho got 42% of the vote. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, what is going on with our fan base at Manchester United at the moment? I mean, like, who do you think you're talking to? Like, who do you think you're talking to? You absolute clowns. Because he is a player that is... sorry, to go again... I'm confusing myself now. To go against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the manager now, to go back to Jose Mourinho, like 42%, and it was the number 1 vote. I mean, what do you think? Like, 42% in this vote said they'd take Jose Mourinho back over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, I'm stunned by this. Jose Mourinho spent nearly 2 and a bit years at Manchester United and proved he was shit. Like, I'm sorry, there is no excuse for Jose Mourinho apart from the excuse that we give everybody, which the board don't give enough money. But to be fair, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his first season in charge got 70 million net spend. Jose Mourinho got like 150 million in his first year, and that was 3 years ago. So inflation, look, that'd be close to 200 million. He played a back 5 at West Ham with Scott McTominay. He embarrassed us week in, week out. But people would love that Park the Bus, Jurassic Park dinosaur to come back and take over from... 42% would like the dinosaur to come back and manage us instead of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'd rather get relegated with Ole than have Jose Mourinho back. So Mourinho, you and whose army are going to get Manchester United back? You're not. It's not happening. It's not happening, and it won't happen anyway. But I'm disgusted by that. I mean, people talk about ridiculous statements from Manchester United fans. 42% would take Mourinho back now over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I mean, I'd have more respect if they said, I'd like Zidane, or I'd like Pochettino, or I'd like Laurent Blanc. But to take Mourinho, my God, that's worrying. I tell you what, if I was Manchester United Football Club and I saw that, I'd be very, very worried that there's a large proportion of our fan base that would take Mourinho back. Zayn Miasi says, Mark, you have no midfield to protect De Gea. Better to sell him and use the money to get a midfield and striker. You don't need a top goalkeeper to win the league. It's my birthday today, says Tony Montana. Let's give him a big welcome. Happy birthday, Zayn. I wouldn't comment again if I was you. I think you've started off badly. You're not going to redeem it. People forgetting Mourinho wanted Arnautovic, says Jay. And not just Arnautovic. He loved Fellaini. He used to bloody bathe him every bloody night with bloody bubble bath. Oh, that's rumours. And What was the other one? Jerome Boateng. That was the centre-back that he wanted. Official, he wanted Jerome Boateng at Manchester United. The German cart horse, the German donkey. You know, he's like a fusion. He's like Jerome Boateng is like Phil Jones and Chris Smalling if they could have a baby and it was a footballer. Absolutely finished. He was good a few years ago, but finished now. So no, not for me at all. And I just want to pick up a few comments on this. I mean, people are saying Ollie gone by Christmas. I don't think that's relevant. Whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets himself sacked or not, that fans would want Mourinho. It makes me want to cry inside. I can't believe it. Van Hal's better, says Nicholas. But yeah, that's the brilliant, most relevant comment of the night, is that if you had to choose between anybody, and I would always go Ollie, if you're telling me who I've got to choose out of Ollie, Mourinho, Van Hal and Moyes, but Ollie you can't choose, so it's Mourinho, Van Hal and Moyes, I'd take Van Hal every day. Van Hal was better than Mourinho. God, I just think people want to be, just can't get off Mourinho. I nearly said something out wrong there, but you know, I just absolutely can't. Jose wanted the sack. Ollie is far better than Jose, says Mazier Goodrala. Look, positive news about De Gea. I do want to, there's a couple of things I want to, hopefully some callers will call in about. A lot of people saying, should Lindelof start over Twansibi? Should Twansibi be over Lindelof? We'll talk about that in a moment. Gareth Southgate's basically come out and said that Rashford's better on the wing. We were talking about that last night, and so well done. I think, you know, you're right about that. Also want to talk a little bit about Fred. Then I want to take your comments. But I just want to say as well, will the good times ever come back, Mart? Do you see a goal this club is moving towards? Everyone seems to be trial and error right now, says Hafez Mohammed. That leads in, Hafez, to exactly what I was going to just talk about there. Manchester United, I didn't realise this. You know, low-key, I did not realise this. I should have realised it, and I apologise. Many of you probably already know this, but if you're like me and you saw it today, it was the Draw T Devil who told me, and I was like, what? This is the worst start to a Premier League season we've ever had. Like, 1992 was when the Premier League started. This is the worst 4-game start we've ever had. Even Mourinho last season, in his first 4 games, he lost to Brighton and Spurs, but he beat Burnley and Leicester, so he had 6 points. We've only got 5. This is the worst start to a Premier League season we've ever had. So for all the people who say Ollie out, or sacked by Christmas, the negativity, I'm not going to go as far as saying swap him with Mourinho. That's just idiotic. I'm sorry. I know that upsets some people, but going back to Mourinho, I'm like, oh God. It's like I saw somebody today. I saw he must only just be out of nappies. He was about 19 and he's talking about Roy Keane. And I was like, what do you know about Roy Keane as a Manchester United player? Like, he retired. He retired as a Manchester United player in 2006. That's 13 years ago. You could have only been 3. Like, how can you talk about Roy Keane? You would have saw the end of Roy Keane at 3 years old. You definitely didn't see him when he was good. And I'm like, you know, it's a bit like the Mourinho thing. People have just they just don't seem to have any knowledge. But those people who are critical of Ollie, I've got to say, you know, there's reason to be critical. There is reason to be. I've been critical. I'm Ollie in, but I have been critical. But I tell you what, I'm just going to flip this around the other way now, because I like to live in the middle lane. I like to live in the fast lane after actually not drink when you're driving, but, you know, live fast, die. No, I actually like that David Brake quote, live fast but die young. No, live fast, die old. You know, I want to live fast and die old. I don't want to die young. But what I was going to say is, I'm rambling a little bit here, but I do have a point. And my point is this. Blake the Third says, I'll pick Ollie all day, Mark, but I will never forget how we lost 5-3 to Leicester under Van Hal. He was terrible. That 5-3 against Leicester, that destroyed Van Hal. We were, up until that game, Van Hal was playing attacking football. That game destroyed him mentally. I think he thought, bloody hell, I can't play like this, because we should have beat Leicester that day. The ref was shit and we made stupid errors at the back. I can't remember who was at right back who gave a penalty away. I think there's a lot of idiots who see Maureen on Sky and think he talks sense still. Remember everyone, he put McMayo in defence versus West Ham, says Nick P. Look, Gary Neville speaks a lot of sense. And he was an awful at Valencia by his own admission. Just because you go on Sky... I tell you what, if Sky hadn't banned me, I could go on Sky Sports on Sunday and talk about sensical things. It's, you know, Mourinho's done. He's a Jurassic Park. He's a relic. He's a brilliant Wikipedia page. He belongs as a pundit, just like Souness, who's a relic as well. You know, they're not relevant as managers anymore. They just sit there and earn money pontificating on things they used to be good at. That's my opinion on it. But what I want to do is flip it around the other way and say, If Manchester United have had their worst start in Premier League history, why are there still people out there that, you know, I call them the good Samaritans of Twitter, who come out with stuff like this for retweets and likes? Try it tonight. You'll probably get a few retweets and likes. Oh, I find it so unloyal. I find it so disloyal how certain United accounts moan about Manchester United when you should be sticking by Ollie and the team and breathing positivity. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. That's your choice to be positive. Not everybody has to have your opinion. That's what an opinion is. That's why we do the United Stand. It's opinion. And, you know, all these positive pontificating farts who go, try and undermine people who've got an opinion. Well, the reality is, we have had the worst start to our season. I am Ollie in. I did the video on Saturday night. It got quite a few dislikes, even though it was mainly positive, because there are people who are pissed off. But the reality is, to all those people who are trying to say, these people who are moaning, well, this is the worst start to a Premier League season we've ever had. And we finished the season badly as well, so there's a consistency. If we had a different manager who wasn't a United legend, I think there'd be murders. I think people would be going, if this was Mourinho now, people would be going mad because they were a year ago. So if people are unhappy, they've got a right to moan about it. If you're happy with it and you want to be really positive about it, and you open the window and it's raining and you strip off and go, what a beautiful day, that's up to you. That's your opinion. But don't, for the life of me, look, we're not in a good position. We're not in a good position. If my mate comes home from work tomorrow and he comes into his living room and the milkman's trousers and top and shirt and pants are on the floor, and upstairs he can hear his wife making very happy noises, then does he want me to stand there and stop him going upstairs saying, don't worry, you'll never believe what happened. The milkman fell over in a puddle. He's had to go and have a bath, and your wife's just jumping around on the bed for fun while he's has a bath. We're going to make lies up. I don't know why I must just say, I don't know why I would be at my mate's house whilst his wife's doing whatever with the milkman upstairs, waiting for my mate to come back. I think I'd have a more active role. Not in a threesome. I'd go up saying, you disgust me. You disgust me. And you disgust me as well, milkman, because there'll be people waiting for their milk and you're busy doing that. And I bet you're not going to wash your hands either. But these people get on my nerves. Not cheaters, but these people get on my nerves because they moan at people for having an opinion. But I'll guarantee you, if they were that person coming home tomorrow and the milkman's doing it with the wife or the husband or whatever, let's be equality here, then they wouldn't walk out and go, I'm off back to work. I've just forgot my keys, love. You carry on jumping on the bed while the milkman has a shower. I'm sure you're not shagging him. Everything's positive. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And back in his Volvo and off to work he goes. No, you're gonna go upstairs and know what's staring you in the face. And I think we do need to stare it in the face. We do need to stare it in the face that United's season's not been good. And if people want to moan about it, that is fine. The collective hope that we get back where we are, and the collective, this is our club, we support our club, yes. But let's not be dictators. Let's allow people to have an opinion, unless it is, I'd like Mourinho back instead of Ollie. That's just idiotic. Darian Jones, £10 bet that James scores more than Martial. Darian Jones, I will take you on that bet. Let's remember it right now. Darian Jones, I will take that £10 bet right here, right now. I bet Solskjaer won't score more than Daniel James. I bet Anthony Martial scores more than Daniel James. Whose team are you on in the live comments? AM or DJ? Get in there. This is the one time I'm going to say I don't want to rock DJ. I want to rock AM. Mark, I want a milkshake now, says Ricky Singh. And what are we staring in the face, says George Kyle. Yeah, not the milkshake. And this is going wrong. Who's milking the cow then? You're filth, you're filth. You're absolutely filth. I just wanted to say I thought your video 2 days ago about the mentality of Manchester United supporters was superb. Really great analysis. That's from Tobias Grunwald, who is not a family relative. What a comment that was. A lot of people are saying DJ, we're getting a few AMs now. And Mark, our last 4 results averaged over the full season will give us 47.5 47.5 points, says Billage 1. I mean, that's interesting. 47.5 points. That would probably... Where would that put us then? Probably mid-table. A lot of people talking about Anthony Martial. I want to take some calls because otherwise, you know what I'll do. I'll just ramble all night and get involved with the live comments. And we've got to take some calls. But I do want to also talk about, obviously, what we've been talking about. But I do want to also talk about Lindelof. Had a very bad game last night for Sweden. He's not had a very good start to the season. And on top of that... I say on everything I say now. I'm thinking on top of that. I'm thinking about the milkman and my poor mate's wife. But what I wanted to say was Lindelof's not playing particularly well at the moment. He didn't play well for Sweden last night. He said that himself. But see, even the word "but" makes me think. Oh, stop it! But I can't get my mind off it. Come back. Fernando Martinez says DJ. As long as it's not BJ, we're all right. We're back in the bedroom. But I want to talk about Lindelof or Twansebi. Some United fans are saying I would play Twansebi over Lindelof now and get him bedded in. Oh, back upstairs again. Get him a relationship with Harry Maguire. Not that sort of relationship. And God, I'm losing the plot. Not for me. Not for me. I don't know about what you lot think. Would you give Twansebi a go now? I don't think so. I think that would be very, very... flippant to just go from Lindelof to Twansebi at the moment. I think there is an opportunity for Twansebi to be the better player, but right now I would stick with Lindelof and Maguire. I think it's too soon to do it. So yeah, we'll do that. Full season, I've just put you in timeout. Not interested in those stupid clout chasing comments. If you want to be somebody, graft like everybody else does and stop clout chasing. Anas Ahmed says Anthony Martial all day. And Mark, with all this dirty talk, sounds like you might need to get some, says Kenny Hoagland. Lingard is FIFA 2 rating 2082, which is 81 too much. Lindelof, yeah, a few people saying Lindelof. A few people saying, to be honest, I would give Twansebi a run out now. And what do you think about Martial? Rashford. Anything in the conversation from yesterday? I mean, we were talking about how he needs to be a left back. Sorry, not a left back. Left back in the changing rooms. No, left winger. But that's, to me, that is Daniel James's role. But I tell you what's massively important. I'm just loading up the calls now. What is massively important to me. We bought a player for £52 million a year ago, Brazil, Fred, right? What are we doing with this player? Our midfield is embarrassing. It's embarrassing compared to the other top teams in the 5 teams in the traditional top 6. We don't have a lot of talent in there. We don't have a lot of depth in there. And Fred cost £52 million. He was a Brazilian international when we bought him. And I just think... You know what? I am going to jump on the bandwagon of Fred has got to be given some game time in these next... I think we've got 7 games. 4 league games, Rochdale in the League Cup, and then 2 Europa League games. Before the next international break, we've got 7 games. And Fred's got to... I am hashtag give Fred a game. It's probably not a great hashtag because it's quite long. Hashtag play Fred. I'm going to go down that road because I just think... And I'm going to be fair and even-handed here. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer may be watching Fred in training and knows he's absolutely crap. And that's why he's not on the bench. And that I suspect that maybe is the case. But we've got to give him a go. Because I thought with Fred in March when he played, when we had an injury crisis, he looked quite good in that CDM role. He made a couple of mistakes, but he looked quite good in that role. And I just think we're so slow in that. It doesn't suit Pogba there. And I actually think if we want to get Pogba further forward, then play Fred with McTominay because it will give us more mobility. And he's I just feel what have we got to lose? What have we got to lose with Fred? Because we've had the worst start to the Premier League season we've ever had. Some would say that should put Ollie's job under pressure, which I know for a fact from the club he's not under any pressure. But if he wasn't a legend of the club, I think he would be. We've got games over the next month that we can lose, and if we do lose, we can get in a worse situation. You've got nothing to lose by playing Fred. You know what McTominay can do. You know what Matic does. You know what Pereira's done. Give Fred a go. So I just think play him. And if he's no good, at least we can put Fred to bed with the milkman and the cheating wife, and he can have a good time doing that or something. I don't know. But actually, Fred wouldn't do that. He's happily married, and it's only new, so he ain't going to be wandering eyes yet. But Fred, to me, give him a go, and then if Everybody sees him playing crap. Everyone who says play #FlayFred can go, yeah, he was crap as well. Our midfield's a nightmare. But at least we know. Do you think Ndidi would be a good signing for United, says JDC? I think Ndidi would be a brilliant signing for Manchester United. I'm not one for stats, but his tackling stats with Idrissa Gueye, I think, were the best in Europe last year. Which shows he's mobile, he's tenacious, which is exactly what he'd be perfect for Manchester United's midfield. Yeah, and you're going to see that on Saturday. Twan Seaby is tipped to be a future star as well as James and Rashford and Scotty, says George Ramos. Mark, can I please get on? I'm in Q2, says T Wallery 18. Well, I'm going to try and take some calls now because that's what it's all about, and hopefully your opinions and everything will be far more coherent than mine tonight. Let's see if we can get our first caller. He's going to talk up for us because sometimes he's a bit quiet. Pankaj, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mark.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
You're lovely and loud tonight, Pankaj. Go on then, the floor's yours. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. I want to talk about Ollie basically. I think, I mean, we haven't had a good start, obviously, and it's like the worst start, basically, in a year's time. So I think, it's very negative around. I mean, fan base. It's everything is like not. It's not positive at all. So it's a bit of a downfall at the moment as a fan, and it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I do agree because I was talking to a Liverpool fan today, and the worst thing that can happen happened. They said, "I almost feel sorry for you." Now, a Liverpool fan will never feel sorry for United because it's the biggest rivalry, but that's how bad it is. And I said to them back, I said, you know what, the worst thing as well is I don't want anybody's sympathy because that shows you how bad we are, but I think a lot of United fans are almost confused, because if it wasn't, well, I'll ask you a question. If this was Mourinho, do you think there'd be a lot more vocal anger from United fans, and it's only because Ollie's a legend that people are being a bit respectful?
I think no, because I think Mourinho. I think because of his style of play, I don't think so. People really hate Mourinho, but I think it's because of his the way he plays football and his style, and he wasn't getting the results, and he lost the dressing room basically. With Oli, I mean, everyone respects him, and we can see what he's trying to do with the team playing attacking football, but it's not working at the moment. So I think people support what he's trying to do, but it isn't working. You can be critical of him and the results and about his tactics, and but we can see what he's trying to do in basically with the team. So that's why I don't think so. It's basically just because he's a legend. That's why I think he can it will take time to implement his philosophy to implement, because when Klopp came in for Liverpool, it took time for him as well. Even if he was already a very good manager in the German league, so it took time for him as well.
I suppose the problem with Ollie is, though, when we compare him to Klopp, is that he'd already won a title with Dortmund and he was already a good manager, whereas Ollie's sort of a Poundland version because he's done it in Norway. I think you're right there. I think you're right there because Mourinho, it was the style of football that annoyed everybody, and with Ollie, we know that he wants to play a pressing, attacking football. But I suppose the problem with it is, there's only so long, and I'm one of those fans who wants to give him the time because I understand what he's trying to do. But there's only so long you can give him when the results are bad. And I suppose it's a bit like an architect, isn't it? They show you this brilliant building that they want to build, and you go, yeah, that's exactly what we want. But then they start building it, and instead of building it out of the bricks, they're building it out of spaghetti, and it keeps breaking. And I suppose that's the best way I could put it with Ollie, is like, I think we all know the vision, and we all agree with the vision. It's just whether he can build it, and he might not be able to build it. And if that happens, we're in trouble.
Yeah, and sometimes I even feel that sometimes is he just satisfied in being a Man United manager, and is he happy with that because you know he's played for the club, so that means a lot to him, and he has to remember that it's not just about just being a manager of United and you've accomplished everything. You need to work on the training and how the players train and attack in football, and the chemistry of the team, and how to you know implement your tactics and throughout the game. So yeah, and I just want to ask you something. What do you think about like Pogba basically? Do you think he's like interested in playing for us, or he looks disinterested? I mean,
What I'll do is I'll thank you for coming on, Pankaj, and I'll answer that question, and then I'll take another call if that's all right. But thanks for coming on, mate.
yeah. Thank you.
Cheers,
Thank you.
Pankaj. Really good call. With regards to Pogba, I'll just be very quick on that because I want to get a few calls on. Again, I was talking to somebody about this, the same Liverpool fan today, and I said the trouble with Pogba is it about a brand? Because the reality is he's been here for 3 years. I really like him, but he's really inconsistent. And we had an opportunity to sell him in the summer, and he wanted to go, and we could have sold him and got 2 midfielders for 1. And we stayed with him, and we forced a player who doesn't want to be here to stay, and we forced a player who's been inconsistent to stay. I don't really understand why we did it. We didn't buy anybody to make him better. In fact, we took Herrera away, which makes him worse. I don't understand why we kept Pogba. I like Pogba, and I'm glad he stayed because we didn't buy anybody else, but I don't understand why we kept him unless it was a business decision, which scares me the most about Manchester United, because everything just seems to be a business decision. Pogba wanted to go, and we could have got 2 midfielders. You know, people talk about Maddison. We could have got Maddison and Bruno Fernandes for 150 million easily. And that would have been a rebuild, and that would have been looking forward. But instead, we keep a player that we know is going to go in the summer. There's rumours that we have tried to get him on a new contract, and Pogba and his agent just won't talk to us. Why would they? It just... Again, I'm getting irritated about Manchester United's board. Mark, would you take 20 million plus Xhaka for Fred, as you don't play him, says Zayn Miasi? I'm not a massive fan of Xhaka, to be honest. I would like to give Fred a chance. I would like to give... All we are saying is give Fred a chance. I think that's what we're saying. So I would like to see Fred given a chance. Hello, Logan. Can you hear me? Hello, you're live on the United Stand and you're muted, so you probably can't hear me. So I'll just pull him off or out and we'll try Will. Hello, can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand.
Hi, Mark.
How you doing? All right?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
I was just thinking about everyone's going about managers and things like that with United, but what's your view on with Van Gaal and with Jose? If they were to go to the likes of City at the time they came to United, or if they went to Spurs or Chelsea or Arsenal, would they have done better than they did at United?
Well, what do you think?
Well, I personally think yes, because I think there's quite a large sort of black cloud of Sir Alex Ferguson sort of looming over the club of that expectation. Whereas the expectation, fair enough, City haven't got much of a history, nor have Spurs. So there's no massive pressure. So they can go there and they can do their style of football. Jose Mourinho would have been backed. Van Gaal, fair enough, he was backed, but not as much as he could have been. And Solskjaer, I don't personally reckon he would have even been appointed at any of the top 6 clubs. So it's quite a difficult one.
A few people can't hear you, mate, so if you can just talk up a little bit when I come back to you. But basically, I think Van Gaal and Mourinho at Manchester City would have done a lot better, and I think that Pep Guardiola at Manchester United would fail. So that probably answers the question there. The problem is the board.
Totally agree with you.
But this Liverpool fan I was talking to today, who I can tell you is actually Chris off Red Men TV, I was talking to him, and he said, I can't believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is your manager. I can't believe he is managing Manchester United. And it wasn't in a positive way.
No, yeah, exactly. It's quite... I think when you think of it like that, with a record of... a non-existent record, they could have appointed you or I.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, look, I like Ollie. I hope it's going to work.
Yeah, no, I think it will.
But if it doesn't work, it's going to be a massive case of we never should have appointed him when you look at the warning signs. And we all know that. Yeah. But what I must say is, we all agreed with it. We did.
Exactly. And I think a big reason to not beat Ollie out is because if you get rid of him now, the club doesn't progress. We go back.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've got no... If you're asking me, if I ask you now, right, heart, which way is this going to go? We've got 5 points from 12. What is going to happen with Manchester United? Do you think it's going to get better, or do you think it will get worse?
I personally think it will carry on to get worse before it gets better. And what you don't want to happen is the fans turn on him, because already there's a divide, and it's when that gets nasty. There'll always be some who say, "Oh, Ollie out, Ollie this, Ollie out," but you need unity within the club to make sure when it goes bad, it can go good again.
Thanks for calling in, Will. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, Mark. See you
Cheers,
soon.
pal. What I would say about that as well is, I always think this, and opinions change. I mean, Zayn Mayassi says, Mark, whether a player wants to stay or not, he should give 100%. He's an employee of the club, paid 15 million a year. He should be killing himself on the pitch and be professional. Look, I'm not for 1 minute saying that Paul Pogba's not going to give 100%. I think he will. I think the issue is his 100% over the last 3 years has still been inconsistent. Pogba at his best in a United shirt is still inconsistent, which makes me think, what was the big advantage of keeping Pogba when you could have got over 100 million, brought 2 midfielders in and given him the moves he wanted? Instead, we chose to keep a player that didn't want to be here, who has been inconsistent. So it didn't make any sense. And he will be gone in a year. It only makes sense in a business decision because he's so marketable. But going back to what we were saying about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if he fails, I wanted him to be the manager. The first 3 months were amazing, and when he was appointed manager, amazing. But I'm a Manchester United fan, and I'm allowed to follow my heart because football is very about the heart and not the head. United fans, we are going to be emotional and get lost in the moment. And I think we got lost in the moment. I think Ollie had 3 amazing months. Ollie's at the wheel, give him the job now. Most fans were saying it, and then it was a bad decision. What should have happened, and I wonder what would have happened, right? When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the job, we were favourites for top 4. I can't remember specifically when he got it, whether we were still in the Champions League at that point, but we were never winning the Champions League. Top 4 was on, because it was around, was it start of April, end of March? We were still in the race for top 4. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the job and we suddenly plummeted. The performances, the spineless Pamper FC, rain, whatever. I wish we'd waited till the summer. A businessman or woman would have waited till the summer. A fan will let their heart rule their head and say, give him the job now. Oh, he's at the wheel. We were there. I was there at Old Trafford singing it with about 50 other people. So as fans, we can't feel guilty that we wanted him to get the job in March. But as decent businessmen, it was a stupid decision to give him the job in March. Give it him in May. Wait till May. And the only logical thing about giving it in March, I thought, was get him in now, and then in April you could be talking to him about transfer targets. But they fucked that up anyway. It made no difference. We still didn't buy any midfielders, so there was no reason not to wait till the summer anyway. We should have waited till the summer. And then the interesting thing would have been, instead of giving him the job in March or April, and then we absolutely capitulated and we missed out on top 4, I wonder if we hadn't given him the job, do you think we would have flopped at the end of the season? Because I don't think we would. I don't think we would have flopped as severely if Ollie hadn't had the job. I think Ollie got the job and everyone was like, relax, we're on easy street. And we just absolutely blew it. I think one of 2 things would have happened. If we hadn't given him the job, we would have still flopped, and then the club would have had a decision to make. They would have gone, well, he had 3 good months, but we've just lost to Cardiff at home and we've missed out on top 4. Maybe he's not the man, right? That's option 1. Option 2, you don't give him the job, everyone stays motivated, you do get top 4, you give him the job, you got Champions League, you get Jadon Sancho. I think nobody talks about this because we feel that we're hypocritical as fans. But the reality is, another big mistake by the board was giving him the job in March or April or whenever it was. Business people would have waited till the summer. Fans, we would be emotional, we've got a right to be, we don't need to feel guilty. But if they'd waited till the summer, I think we would have got top 4 because the motivational stuff would have continued, or we wouldn't have got top 4. It would have gone the way it was and they wouldn't have given him the job anyway. So well done to the board. You fucked up again. Rozo Ibspista says, board is massively to blame, but fans still saying we need to get back to Fergie days. Football has changed and we need to change our club philosophy. And Dimoy Veman says, I'm worried if this doesn't work out with Ollie, our next manager will overlook Gomez because of his size, and that would break my heart as a fan. There'll be no shortage, pardon the pun, of takers for Angel Gomez if we were to sell him. If he ends up forcing his move. But what I would say about that is, I'm one of those people who say start Greenwood, start Gomez, right? This international break tonight, Angel Gomez is on the bench for England under-20s and Mason Greenwood is on the bench for England under-21s. They're not on the bench for England. They're on the bench for under-20s and under-21s, and we're saying they should start for Manchester United. But this is 2 players who are not even starting for under-20s or under-21s. So, you know, are we just, as fans, again, as is our right, we're so fed up with the senior team that were desperately trying to create this scenario where these kids can come in and make a massive, massive difference. And, actually, maybe we are being a little bit naive because maybe they're not ready, but we're hoping they're ready because we're so fed up of the crap that's meant to be ready. Broski R says, Mark, you said you wouldn't take 200 million for Pogba even if he was inconsistent. But Broski, you're probably quoting me from different times through the summer. Like, I actually said, when Paul Pogba said he wanted to go in June, I said sell him. And then the transfer window got to like mid-July and I said, we've got to keep him. I would have sold Pogba in June. I wouldn't have sold him in July because you haven't got time to replace him. We thought we had to keep him. But the board knew he wanted to go in June. That's when they should have sold him. I would have sold him in June, 100%. 150 million, he's gone. I would have done it. Yeah. Dan Will XGex Gaming says revolving door management equals no stability. And Liam O'Neill says, I'm an Everton fan and I think it's disgraceful what's happening at United. We lost Garner, Gay and 2 DMs to replace him, and Delph only cost 8 million. Mate, do not get me started on the midfield. It absolutely makes me cry. I cannot deal with it. Hello, Logan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, mate, I can hear you fine.
Cool.
I'm sorry, I just muted my mic the last time because someone came in my room.
What do you want to talk
about? So I've just got one or two things to ask you. First of all, obviously Ollie was given the job before the summer, and you've just been saying that obviously it was a bad decision. Which at the time, obviously, all of us fans thought, nah, like it's a good decision giving him the job now. He's proven himself, and then the bad results came to follow. It's summer. He was obviously, he was said to have 300 million, 200 million.
Yeah. But
our net spend was 70, 80 million, and we only really spent 150 million on players.
Yeah.
Do you really think our budget was 200 million, or do you think the board just not made enough transfers?
I look, as I just said, and I'm sure you would agree, I'm not saying that appointing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as manager was a mistake from the fans. I wanted it, but we're fans. We're gonna go with our heart. The board, from a business side, the board shouldn't have done that. They should have waited till the summer. That's what good business people do. But I just, my big fear with United is that, and I've said this before, I just feel that a lot of what's going on doesn't make any business sense. Like Ollie being appointed before the end of the season made no business sense. We're in the Europa League and we've hardly spent any money. That makes no business sense because we've seen in previous years we're in the Europa League and we spend big to make sure it doesn't happen again. We haven't done that this time. So I'm like, we're in the Europa League. We're in the worst position we've been in for years, but you're not spending money to try and get us back in the Champions League. You're hardly spending any money, like you said. You're appointing a manager who, let's be honest, is ridiculously cheap compared to a Pochettino. So I don't know what United... The blame lays with the board, and that's not sensationalist. I think we all know that. But I've got no idea what this board is doing because a lot of what... They're clearly not football people. I thought they were good business people. I don't understand what they're doing. It worries me because are they winding the club down? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I feel like if we didn't end up like appointing a Pochettino or as a Dan or someone like that, I feel like they would have obviously come in and been like, right, I want bing bang bong. The board would have been like, okay, yeah, you've got 300 million, go do what you want. I feel like because it's Ollie, they felt like they could maybe, he's a club legend, they can do what they want with him because he loves the club. And that's sort of why we didn't get nearly as many players. Like, we know Ollie was interested in Bruno Fernandes. We didn't get him. I'm just wondering if Pochettino came in and said, I want Bruno Fernandes, would we have got him?
I think look, I can't be a hypocrite. I wanted Ollie, so I've got to live with that. We've all got to live with that. But I would
absolutely, so did I.
Pardon? So, but I would, like sometimes in life, there's two journeys and you'd like to see them both. In a hypothetical, I'd love to see the situation if Ollie had not done great as a caretaker manager and nobody said give him the job. And then in the summer, what would they have done? Because they wouldn't have been able to give Ollie the job because everyone would have gone, well, he was only interim, he didn't do that well. Who would they have gone for? And if they'd gone for Pochettino, the only way he would have took that job would have been if they'd said, he would have said, I want 200 million. Now, was that ever, if that was ever on the table, it makes no sense. So if Ollie had failed, United were willing to give it to Zidane or Pochettino and give him 200 million. But Ollie succeeds, he costs half the wages those two managers would be, and you give him less than half you would have given them as a wage budget. So there's something sinister going on at United. I would love to know what would have happened if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had failed, who they would have appointed, because I don't think they would have given loads of money. So who could they have got?
Yeah. Also, do you think January is too late for us to make any significant transfers? Like if we were to sign Bruno Fernandes in the January transfer window, do you think that's...
I think Bruno Fernandes won't come to United because we blew it in the summer. And we won't go back in. And better clubs than us will go back in for him, so we won't get him now. I think we missed the opportunity in the summer. I think we can sign players. My mind, I agree with a lot of fans. I sort of think that someone like James Maddison would be perfect now. I'd prefer Bruno Fernandes over James Maddison, but I think the Bruno Fernandes ship did sink, and I think Maddison and maybe John McGinn are the... And obviously we are Brexit FC now, so buying British is probably going to be what we're going to do. It's hard to do business in January, but I hope... I think we've got to. I think we've got to sign a midfielder. The midfield is just despairing.
It is disgraceful. It is disgraceful. I think, as you've said so many times, Scott McTominay is unproven. It's the fact. I think Ollie should be given at least a season, and unless we're obviously in relegation zone, I think Ollie should be given at least a season, because giving him any less is just not fair on him. But it's also,
let me just interject there though, because let me just say this then. I agree with you. I'd like him to have a season, but where does he have to be? Because if you say I'm going to give him a season, but the next international break we've got, say, 10 points, we've only got another 5, and we're in the bottom half, and then the next international break in November we're like 9th, and at Christmas we're firmly in like 10th. Would you get rid of him at that point, or would you think this is a disaster, we may as well keep going till the end of the season?
What? Yeah. See, I think you'd have to, because if you switch managers, then it's really a hit or miss. The team could perform worse, or the team could perform better. Take Mourinho. As soon as he went out and Ole came in, there was a boost. Yeah. It happens quite a lot, I think. As soon as the manager come out, there's always an initial boost, and then the team sort of goes back to normal. So I feel you just have to give him that season, and within that summertime, that's when obviously the board would have to get thinking if they're even capable.
Thanks for calling in, mate. Good that we could get you on eventually, and please do call in again.
Will do. Thanks, man.
Cheers, Pale. I tell you what, on that point, Zayn Mayassi says, Mark, they gave Ollie the job quickly because no top manager will take it. Arsenal and United are banter clubs, and I can't see that changing. Maybe after Brexit, with no deals, Pep can be deported for being a foreigner. Ooh, controversial and political. But just to go back on that, I agree with Logan that I think you've got to give Ollie at least a year. But again, it's what I said on that video on Saturday night. Man United fans need to open their eyes, because it's all right saying give him a year, but I know you and you know me. That should be a song. I know you, you know me. I don't know how it would go, but we know each other, and you can't just say give it a year. It's like, I'm not going to do an analogy. I've done enough of those tonight, but you can't... Well, yeah, it is. It's like knowing every morning you're going to go to work and the whole of the office is going to kick you in the nuts. Oh, I'll put up with it for a year before I get a new job. But actually, after 3 weeks of it, you realise that the damage it's doing is not good for you, and you can't put up with that. So, yeah, we can all say we're going to put up with a situation for a year, but it's what that situation is. Giving him a year is secondary to what the situation is, if you know what I mean. Like, if we're giving him a year and we're fighting for 6th and 5th and maybe 4th, we're always in with a maybe chance, yeah, give him a year, of course. But if we're nowhere near 4th and we're stuck around mid-table and that's our season, I don't know whether people are going to go give him a year, because, You've then got to take into account the last 3 months of last season has continued into this season. Where's the improvement? If you're mid-table, United, that's not a build. That's, I know we had a bad transfer window, but that squad should still be finishing in the top 6 comfortably. And so it's all about the situation, isn't it? It's all about where we're going to be. And what I would say as well is, though, Logan makes a good point. For all those people saying he'll be sacked by Christmas, they won't sack him. They won't sack him unless we're like right in the bottom half of the table. And when they do sack him, top 4 will be gone. So our only chance of top 4 is Ollie being successful, which is why I'm desperate for him to be successful. It's why I'm hoping he is going to turn it around, because we will not react quick enough. Quite rightly, we will not do what we did with Mourinho, which is sack him in December, where there was a very slim chance that a new manager could come in and get top 4, and Ollie nearly did it. We won't do that again, because that was Mourinho's 3rd season. We are not going to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job and then in his 1st season sack him when there's still a slim chance of top 4. They'll wait until it's gone, like they did with Moyes, and then you get sacked. That's what you do with the first-year manager. So anybody thinking, oh, let's sack Ollie and get someone in while there's a chance of top 4, that won't happen. That won't happen. This season will be a disaster if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets sacked. The only way we're having success this year is if Ollie is successful. So I can't understand why nobody would be, as a United fan, hoping that he can turn this around. I understand the nervousness, but I hope he can. Vin Bra says, Mark, I watch the show every day from Arizona. It's on at 12 noon. Have you seen anything of Matty Cash from Forest? I think he would do quite well at United. Vin, contrary to reports, the last time I watched a Forest game was when they knocked Arsenal out of the FA Cup. And I think it was Arsenal reserves, and I can't remember whether it was last year or the year before. That was the last time I saw Forest. I have got friends from Nottingham who support them, but I don't even know who plays for Forest anymore. The only one player I know that plays for them, I think he still plays for them, is the lad who used to play for Spurs, Craig Dawson. So no, I don't know, and I don't watch a lot of Championship football. In fact, I've not watched any this year. So. Very good league, but I just don't watch it. I prefer Serie A, so I don't watch a lot of Championship football. We are where we should be after that transfer market, says JZ. And Finchy says, Mark, do you agree that our coaching staff is too inexperienced for Manchester United? I think people don't take this into account. Salford have more successful, experienced coaches and managers. I think you raise a good point, Finchy. I hope you don't mind me calling you Finchy. But hello, peeps, says Tim. I think that is a valid point. I think it is. I think you can, it's not all just about Solskjaer. You've got to look at the collective. McKenna and Carrick, I really like them, but are they cut out for it at this level? Mike Phelan, is he cut out for this level anymore? I mean, to be fair to Mike Phelan, we all like him and we love his legs. Get your shorts on, Mike, but he's been out of the game for quite a while. And if you're saying Mourinho's a Jurassic Park, then maybe Mike is as well. You can't have it one way and not the other. That's what she said. But you can't have it one way and not the other. You've got to, maybe Phelan is done as a coach. Maybe Carrick and McKenna aren't good enough for this level as coaches. On the other hand, maybe Phelan's still got it. And maybe Carrick and McKenna are going to be two of the best coaches the world's ever seen. There's the hope and there's the reality. And there's the fear, and the reality will guide us. But whilst the future's uncertain, we have to hope and try and not fear, because the fear will drive you mad. James XX97 says, I don't rate the coaching staff, and our best player is from the Championship, says D Ghost. But look, if you want a positive to cling on to, I think De Gea is going to sign that contract, which is what we started off about. And I think as well, people ignore this because he's not British, so you don't get enough of it from the press. But I think that the one positive from this season is Anthony Martial. I think that, I know we're only 4 games in and he missed one through injury, but the performance of Anthony Martial up front from the last 3 years has been amazing. Somebody's got hold of Martial and told him how to be a number 9. His work rate, his hold-up play, his running off the ball. We all know he can finish and we all know he's got a bit of skill. But playing with his back to goal, I didn't think he was that good at that. And over the summer, he's obviously put a lot of work in and he's been guided by somebody. And I think that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a striker. So, you know, it's not all bad. There is hope. And if you are worried and you are scared, and I'm worried about where United might be, I do cling on to positives like that. You know, a definitive, factual bit of evidence that coaching is going on at that club that's good. And you know what? Carrick might be in the ear of McTominay. And if he is, there's no better guidance. The issue is Rashford's declining and Lingard's declining. And that's the same coach. So Martial's taking it on board, but Rashford isn't. And that's just the limitations of players sometimes. But there are positives. There are positives. And you know what? I know it's only Monday night. I think we're going to beat Leicester on Saturday. And I think if we do beat Leicester on Saturday, there'll be a lot of positivity and hope again, which is exactly what we need. We need some positivity around the club because we're swimming in shit, aren't we? Mark, what about Steve McLaren, says Zayn Miasi? You've ruined it now. You've ruined it. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody. Brilliant callers as per usual. Brilliant live comments as per usual. Tomorrow we are back at lunchtime with the Flex and Rant show because it's Tuesday. We're also recording the podcast tomorrow morning, so the podcast will be going out tomorrow as well. So make sure, I'll put the link on the show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for that. But if you are subscribed to our podcast, then that will be going up tomorrow afternoon as well. So a double treat tomorrow, Flex and Rants at lunchtime, then the podcast, and then obviously I'll be back at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Zayn Miasi says, Mark, if Arsenal beat you, will you wear an Arsenal shirt for one show? If you send me an Arsenal shirt, I will do it, but I'm not going to go and buy an Arsenal shirt to wear. But Zayn, if you want me to wear an Arsenal shirt because Arsenal beat us, that is fine. I will do it because I don't think Arsenal are going to beat us at Old Trafford. I've said it before, so I'm not doing it just because Zayn said it. I don't think Arsenal will beat United at Old Trafford. Even if we lose to Leicester and West Ham, I don't think Arsenal will beat us at Old Trafford. I'm not saying we'll beat them, but I don't think they'll beat us. Vin Brew, do you think we're okay in the centre-back, or would you want to see us go for a Lindelof replacement? Obviously need to sort out our dog poo midfield first. No, if we decide not to go with Lindelof, let's give Twansebi a go. That's what I think. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all soon. Really enjoyed the show tonight. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the callers. You're all fantastic. Please smash a like on the way out, and I'll see you tomorrow. But really good show tonight. Look, people say the international break's boring. It is, but I don't think the United stand's boring. I think, you know, some of the shows over this break have been absolutely fantastic. So thank you. And Zidant Pisharati, thanks for the comments, the super chat there. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great evening. Or day. Or night.